Hello again, all my wonderful Math 1 students. I hope the first day of e-learning was as exciting as you hoped it would be. With regards to us, I left you what we would have done in class on Monday if we had been in school, which is to finish up the packet from Friday with all of those constructions. So hopefully you were able to work your way through that. Like I put on Skyward, the Message Center. If you're not sure how to do any of those, go to YouTube, quick little Google search there, and it should get you squared away pretty quickly. They're all out there for you to look at and follow. What that would have then meant is we would have had a quiz today, Tuesday. It's difficult for me to come up with a quiz that would allow you to do constructions. So as a result, it looks like you might be spared from taking that quiz. However, once we do return, and hopefully we do return sometime soon, you would be responsible for those when we get to our test. So we'll keep you up to date on that as the time comes. But for right now, those constructions, sort of up to you. Hopefully you're able to do them. But again, we have plenty of resources out there if you were to look for them that would get you through any of those constructions. Moving forward then into 7.3, what 7.3 is, if we were to do the task, it's a little bit hard to do that without being there. So I have this little sheet made up that really gets you through what 7.3 was about. And what 7.3 is about is a little bit of a review of what we had done the last module where we were doing transformations. There were three main ones: the translating, where we just move it. That's probably the easiest. When we do reflections around lines, and when we did rotations. 7.3 reviews all that, but then we get into sequences of those to where maybe it's going to take us 2 or 3 of those transformations in order to take a pre-image and get it to be on top of the image. So we'll get to a couple of those here in a second. The first 2 problems are just a quick little review of reflections and rotations, because you're going to need to remember how to do those in order to do the last 2, which are when we have to sequence them together. So we'll get started with this one. You'll see what I want you to do is do a reflection. We're going to go reflect around the triangle ABC, and we're going to take triangle ABC and reflect it around the line y equals x. So the line y equals x, if you remember, has a y-intercept of 0 with a slope of 1. So what that would mean is y-intercept is 0. We're going to go up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1. Or we can go down 1, left 1, I suppose, and create this line. We're then going to take each one of these points. We're going to reflect it around that line, which basically means we're going to flip it around that line. There were 2 things we were concerned about when we did that. That was when we took this point A and we flip it around this line here that's going to be going around, so that A would end up above the line. When I connect A to A prime somewhere above this line, when we connect them, that line formed between A and A prime should be perpendicular to the line that we are looking at. So it's important for us to know what the slope of this line is. That's pretty simple. Our slope is a 1. So what that tells us is our perpendicular lines should all have slopes of, think about 1 as 1 over 1. We want the opposite reciprocal of that. So we would flip 1 over 1, which would then obviously still be 1. But we would also want this to be negative. So from this point, A, we need to count off this slope of negative 1 over a 1. This is one that you got to rethink a little, because if I did down 1, right 1, so if I go down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1, we're getting further away from the line, which is the opposite of what we want. So we really want to interpret this negative sign as belonging to our denominator and go up 1 and then left 1. So from A, we would go up 1, left 1. That gets us here. We still haven't reached the line. If I go up 1, left 1 again, that does take me to the line, and it took me twice of counting off that slope. So what that would mean then, I need to count the same number of those slopes on the opposite side of the line. So from this point now, I go up 1, left 1, up 1, left 1. This point here then must be A primed. We can check when we connect A primed to A, we will see that we have a nice set of perpendicular lines here, nice 90-degree angle. If I could draw this straight with this pen. So we have attained the idea that A to A prime is perpendicular to the line of reflection. And then we can also look and see that the distance between A prime to the line and A to the line are the same. And those are our two main concerns. We do the same thing with B. We do the same thing with C. So from B, again, counting off this slope, we're going to go up 1, left 1. That's once. Up 1, left 1 is twice. Up 1, left 1 is 3 times. So we had to do that 3 times. Do that 3 more times on the opposite side of the line. Up 1, left 1, up 1, left 1, up 1, left 1. So that this point here would have to be B primed. And then same thing. We can see that if we connect these to each other, they're perpendicular to the line of reflection and they're the same distance away from that line of reflection. And then last but not least is C. Up 1, left 1 once, up 1, left 1 twice, up 1, left 1 3 times, up 1, left 1 4 times. So we do 4 times on the opposite side. So up 1, left 1, up 1, left 1, up 1, left 1, up 1, left 1. That's our fourth one. This would be C prime. Connect those. And then that's our reflection. So this was our pre-image, the original, oops. And then our image is where we ultimately end up. 2, little review of our rotations. We're going to take this, we're going to go 90 degrees counterclockwise around point P. So what we did is we tried to figure out, all right, from point P, let's do this in order. We'll do A first. What's the slope that would take me from point P to point A? So to get from P to A, we go up 1, 2, 3. So positive 3. And then right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if that's our original slope, this is actually very similar when we do rotations. The idea of the original point, the new point being forming a nice 90-degree angle with whatever our center point is, which in this point is P, and then they need to maintain the same distance. So the way that we can again ensure that is the whole idea of the opposite reciprocal slope, so that we guarantee that they're perpendicular. So if I wanted the perpendicular line's slope, we'd have to do the reciprocal, and it would have to be negative. Keep in mind where we should end up. If we're going to be going counterclockwise, this point A going counterclockwise should end up somewhere up here in quadrant number 2. So we have to be careful counting off this slope, because our first thought here would probably be to go down 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then right 1, 2, 3. But we're nowhere close to where we should end up if we're going counterclockwise. So what that means is we want to treat this negative as belonging to the 3. So we're going to go up 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then if the negative goes to the 3, we're going to go left 3. 1, 2, 3. So this point here would have to be A primed. What should happen then, if we kind of do this, just sketch it, from A prime to the point we rotated around, drawn out to A, those should be the same distance away from this point, and we should have a nice 90-degree angle here, which we do. So with B, same process, figure out what do I have to do to get from P to B. We would go down 1, so the slope starts by going down 1, and then we go right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I wanted B primed, we want the perpendicular slope, which is the opposite reciprocal. So we take the negative 1, 6, flip it, change the sign, tells us from point P we're going to go up 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right 1. That has to be B primed. All right, and then last but not least is point C. Easiest one to get from point P to point C. We're going to go up and down 0. We don't have to go up and down at all, but we would go right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So C prime then, perpendicular slope, we're going to flip it. 9 over 0. Since we want to be making sure we're ending up here with A prime and B prime, we're going to say the 9 is positive. We'll make our 0 negative, which means not much in terms of left or right, but it does tell us we're going to go up 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Left and right 0. So this then has to be C primed. Okay, so then that is our rotations. We didn't do translations. I think you'll remember that. But now we need to remember those 3 because we're going to have to put a sequence of those together to get through these next handful of problems. So if I go to the next page here, kind of already did this once. So let me get rid of this stuff. If you read through kind of what this question is asking, it says now describe a sequence of transformations that would map the pre-image, so that's the one without all of the tick marks, so that it would take that and take it to where the image ends up, which is the one with all the tick marks. So sequence means we're going to have more than one. So in this first line, we'll describe our first one. Oops, what just happened there? Come on. All right, so the way we're going to get this started is I'm going to take point C and I'm going to move it over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The way we can show that is we're going to do x plus 6. What? Then we can go down to 1. Gosh. So we would go down 1, 2. And basically what that does is take C, moves it over to C primed. If we do the same thing with B, so we'll do that in red, we go right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then go down 1, 2. B lands right on top of B primed. If we did that with A, do that in this one, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then go down 1, 2, that would end up right here. So that if we connected all of those, so let me create some space here. So we basically take that triangle, move it right 6, and then we take our y's and go down 2. What we would end up with is this triangle, the original triangle, ending up right here, basically right on top. So this would have been A, gosh. This would have been B lining up right on top of B prime, and then C ends up right on top of C prime. So when we do that, so this is going to be a common word that we would use. We would take the pre-image. Again, this is your pre-image, the original. So this is our pre-image. And we're going to move it over here to our image. So we're going to take x plus 6, y minus 2. So move it right 2, down, right 6, down 2. And then we would write so that segment BC, one of the words we would use a lot in this section is coincides with segment B primed, C primed. Coincide means they land right on top of each other. So you would see here is B prime, C primed. And then what we did is we moved the original triangle over so that B and C lands right on top of B prime, C prime. So that's the word coincides. So once we see that those coincide, what we would then just need to do, oh no, I just realized I messed something up a little bit here. These are all 2s. We're moving over 2s each time. So let's just recount real quick. We can change that up here. We would have gone right 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So let's change this to 10. And then same thing here. We actually went from 2 down to, from C, we would have gone from 2 down to -2. So that would be a change of 4. So this would be y minus a 4. Sorry, wasn't paying attention. But same idea. We slide that over enough to where when we move it to the right, drop it down, they land right, the pre-image lands right on top of the image. Second thing then that would be left for us to do is we're going to reflect the red triangle, the pre-image, the original one, around this line here. Okay, if we reflect it, what would happen is A, if it's 2 units on top, when we flip it, would end up 2 units below. So that would take A onto A prime. We already had B's lined up. We had C's lined up. So that's what we needed. The last thing we need to line up, we needed to get A on top of A prime. So what we would do is say that we would reflect triangle ABC around the line y equals 2 or -2. We also could say or around the segment B prime, C prime. If we just took it there, that's the segment where the segment lies. We could say we're just going to reflect it around that segment. That keeps B on top of B prime, C on top of C prime, takes A, moves it down to A prime. So that's our sequence. In this case, it's 2. We do a lot with 2. I would probably at some point give you a 3, but in this case, we can get the pre-image over to the image in those 2 moves. Okay. Last problem I'm going to ask you to do. Kind of the same thing in terms of what we would want to do first. One of the easiest things we want to do is to get at least one of our points, hopefully more, but at least one to coincide with one of the points in the new image. So this is our pre-image. And we want to take that, move it over here to what we would then call our final one, which is the image. So we want to get at least one point to line up. So the point I am going to take and line up is B. So I can get B to come over here to B prime. If I take B and we move it left, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'd have to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So then, if that's our rule, let me write this a little clearer here. So we did x minus 4. And we did that to every single point. Let me draw that in red now so we see where that would end up. So if I go left 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down, the B lands right on top of B primed. If I took C and go left 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then go down 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This would be C prime. Let's use 1 tick mark to indicate that's our first move. So that's C. If we then did D, just notice how C to D, D is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This would be D primed when we moved it. And then A is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units above B. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So by writing this rule, so this rule here, that would take the pre-image and move it over to this vertical rectangle. So now A lines up, B's line up, but we now need to get A over here, D primed on top of D double prime, and then D or C primed on top of C double primed. All right, so let's finish our first little statement here. So we do this, x minus 4, y minus 6. So B, again, we use this word coincides with point B double prime. So then now if we want to take that red triangle, and we want to create or do something so that it ultimately ends up on the final image, what we would hopefully recognize, what would work good here? Let's see what this looks like. Let's do this one. Notice how A to B to A prime, see how this is a nice 90-degree angle here? If I do that with C and C prime, so here is C to this point and over to C prime, that's a 90-degree angle. So what we are seeing, what that hopefully tells us is that what we want to do is rotate 90 degrees around this point right here. I kind of covered it up because we want this point to stay. But if I rotate 90 degrees, think about how that would look. This is going to rotate down. D prime is going to rotate down. So this should take A to A prime, D prime to D double prime, and then it should take C primed over here to this C double prime. You can see this nice 90-degree angle right here. So what we would need to do for the second one is rotate. Let me do this in black. It just looks a little better. That's floppy writing. We would rotate. We're going to call that thing A primed, B prime, C prime, D prime. Since that's our first movement, we've got to do it again. So A prime, C prime, D prime. We're going to go 90 degrees. We are going counterclockwise. Around points. We could call it either one since they're both there now. We'll call it B double prime, the one that was there from the beginning. All right, that should then take the red one and match everything up perfectly, landing right here. Okay, so that's what we're looking to do. Those are two. If you look at your homework, you're going to have a few, or it's just a one-stepper where you're going to just do one thing. But then the sets, when you get to those, are going to ask you to do a sequence. If you need help, if you go to our Canvas page, like I've told you numerous times, the answers are actually there. We'll kind of show you how we walk through those. You can also go to the videos. The videos are also there to help you with these tasks, what we do. They have some really nice videos with these that kind of show how we rotate, how we reflect, so on and so forth. So use it as much as you want to make sure that we're understanding. Hopefully this makes a little bit of sense, and then good luck with the homework. It should just be what's on Skyward. I don't know what's off the top of my head. I don't have it directly in front of me, but it'll be on Skyward what you're expected to get done. And that should be it. So we'll be in touch. Have a good one.